respected journals. I am sure that you will all feel enriched with RBT after attending this session. Once again, I welcome you all.
Good morning, all and all. So I joined Ms. Janani ma'am to welcome you all for this program on behalf of IKSC team. So the intention of this program is to get clear with RBT. So many of you be having a confusion or not clear with the RBT and whether it is hearts or lots applying or everything it comes in hearts or lots. Like that we have a not clear. We don't have any clear idea. So that this session, I hope this session will gives you the light on what is RBT, then COPO mapping. So whether we have to map with all POs against with COs and all like that. And also ma'am will give you the light on how to set the question paper with revised Bloom's tax. Thank you all. Welcome you all.
Let me share my little understanding about revised Bloom's taxonomy in our teaching learning process. So before I get into this revised Bloom's taxonomy, let us have a small debate on are we an effective teacher or efficient teacher? So once if we are clear with this concept, then entering into this revised Bloom's taxonomy will be a comfortable zone for us. So now I just want an interaction on this. Are we effective teacher or efficient teacher? Come on. Both? Yes? If you say both, then I'll ask you what's the difference between these two. Yes? From this side? Please converse with me so that you will be having better knowledge of this revised Bloom's taxonomy. Are we effective or efficient teachers? Okay, what do you mean by effectiveness?
Taking class very effectively.
I just want you to tell me what is effectiveness.
Doing it with perfection or something like that, without any mistake.
Fantastic. So can I say that doing the right things? Right? So doing right things is whatever may be the end result, it will be a positive result. Could you tell me what is an efficiency?
Very knowledge, very known about the subject, you're well versed about the subject.
Then what's the difference between these two?
Knowing a lot about the subject and
Okay.
taking a class effectively are two different things.
Oh.
Even if I don't know something about the subject, I can handle the class in a better way.
Okay. So can I put the other way as doing right things?
Yeah.
Or doing things right. Doing right things is effectiveness. Doing things right as efficient. Right? So which means that the task will be completed but it will be cheaper and faster. Efficiency. Am I right? Yes? Sir, please come on. Yes, sir. Efficiency? Doing right things. Doing right things is effectiveness and doing things right is efficiency. So in case of an effectiveness, we yield a positive result. Whereas in case of an efficiency, there also we get a result, but the task will be completed and it will be cheaper and faster. So to which category we belong now? Are we effective teachers or efficient teachers? Yes?
Sometimes effective and sometimes
Yes. So sometimes, mostly can I say it is effective and few of the times it is efficient, right? Okay, even before we go into this Bloom's taxonomy, let me give you a very small activity so that you could have a better understanding of this revised Bloom's taxonomy. I hope everyone will be having a paper with you. Yes? Yes? Small activity, if you don't mind. So you just take a piece of paper. So the instruction I'll be giving, right? So you don't anything in between, right? So I'll be giving you the instruction. Please follow my instruction. When I say stop, you will have to stop it. And it's again. Yes. Okay, now, and you should not ask any questions in between while I give you the instruction. Yes? Yes, sir. Completely. Draw a line. Sir, please. Draw a line. Sir, please. No clues. Draw a circle. Draw a triangle. Again, you draw a straight line. Okay, you can just stop now, and you can just see your neighbor's sheet also, so that you can just have an idea how everyone have created your own imagination in drawing this. Yes? So you can just refer your neighbor's sheet. Tangaran sir has drawn like this, and Anushka has drawn like this, and Steva ma'am has drawn like this, right? Each one have a unique creativeness and imagination or understanding capacity, right? So now, the same thing. The same thing now, the same activity I'll give you now, you can ask as many questions you want regarding to draw this, right? Turn the paper. Okay, you can just leave it, sir. You are exceptional. Draw a straight line. You can ask as many questions as you can. A medium line. Horizontal line.
Middle or top or bottom?
Middle of the paper. Do you have a scale with you right now? Approximately 5 centimeter. Pen. Blue color. You have the blue color pen with you. You cannot escape this time, sir. Blue color. And next is, you draw a circle. Very good. So above the straight line, and that circle should touch the line. Diameter is 2 centimeter. It's blue pen. I said that the circle should touch the center point of the straight line. Got clear? Yes? Okay. The circle should be above the straight line in such a way that it touches the midpoint of the straight line. Yes? Now draw a triangle. It should be inside the circle. Triangle should be inscribed in the circle, inside the circle. Yes, it should be an equilateral triangle. Apex at the top. Apex at the top. Yes? Finish? And next, draw a line. It should be parallel to the already drawn horizontal line. Below. It should be 1 centimeter. The distance between the first drawn horizontal line and the next last drawn horizontal line should be 1 centimeter. The length should be same as that of the previous line. Then, any more questions? Pen is blue. Clarified? He's a mathematician. Clarified all your doubts? Yes? Finished? Okay, can I take sample? So, madam has drawn this by getting the information, right? So, now your drawn is exactly. Sir, as chemical HOD has drawn after getting the information. Yes? And Tangraj sir has drawn this after getting the information. Understand? Between the activity was same, right? The activity was same. The teacher was also same. And what difference you could find between these two activities?
The student is not willing to draw when the instructions are not clear. So that's why he has not drawn.
Okay, fine. Okay, the chemical HOD has told us the student is not willing to draw because you have not taken up the first activity. Okay, sir?
Yes.
Is that your point? Okay, my instruction in the first activity was. No. I don't come to that point. My instruction in the first activity was, I said, unless I complete my instruction throughout, you should not interfere and ask any question, right? So the same activity I have given to you, and I have said that you can clarify in order to draw the diagram or follow the instruction. So you have clarified all your doubts. And exactly these three samples matched with what I said. So what do you understand between these two activities? Can I say that the first one is a conventional method? Yes? Fine, sir. So conventional method is a teacher-driven method. There, the students are the passive listeners. Sir, am I right, sir? Chemical HOD, sir.
Yes.
Okay, in the second activity, what do you infer? You got all the instructions, right? And you have also drawn exactly whatever thing is needed. So, which means that here we have a group discussion, interaction, peer learning, group learning, doubt clearance, everything. So this is what we mean by revised Bloom's taxonomy. So that's a difference between conventional method and revised Bloom's taxonomy. So understood what is all about revised Bloom's taxonomy now? Yes. So with this little understanding, let me share my knowledge into this PPT. Yes. Shall we proceed? So the outline of the presentation, I'm going to cover 3 headings here: revised Bloom's taxonomy, guidance of setting a question paper, and course outcomes, and how to map the course outcome with the POs. Mapping of C1 PO. So in a nutshell, I'm going to give you like 15 minutes and for 5 to 10 minutes for discussion. And from where this revised Bloom's taxonomy originated. So Benjamin Bloom was an educational psychologist who in 1956 created a conceptual framework for student learning objectives. And originally, so in initial days, we had this to be as just the Bloom's taxonomy. So there in that case, we had only one dimension, that is only the cognitive process dimension, right? So later on, he modified this Bloom's taxonomy as revised Bloom's taxonomy and made it as a two-dimensional mapping. Right? So that's the difference between the original and the revised one. So right now, everywhere, all are following this revised Bloom's taxonomy, which is a two-dimensional mapping. So in this revised Bloom's taxonomy, right, already we have discussed all these things. It incorporates both kind of knowledge to be learned, that is knowledge dimension, and the process used to learn, that is cognitive process. So how are we going to map this knowledge with cognitive process dimension? So that idea, we should have a very clear thing. Only then we'll be able to set a quality question paper. So now, before even entering into that, what are all the domains of learning or learning outcomes? So I could say that would be as 3H. That is head, heart, and hand. So head, it is, we'll have to think, ability to make use of mind, thinking, that is cognitive, and affective, that is emotion, attitudes, beliefs, that is feeling from the heart. The teacher should have definitely. And it's psychomotor, that is doing by hand, right? So that is motor skills, action of the body determined by the head or hand, whatever may be the gestures. So doing by hand. So two-dimensional approach. One is cognitive process dimension versus the knowledge dimension. So in the cognitive process dimension, we have 6 categories. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So the thing is that when to make use of all these verbs, right? So remember is the learner or the student is able to, whenever he or she is able to recall or state and remember anything from the learned information, in those cases, we put it in the category as remember. So one should have a very clear-cut idea of when we map the two-dimensional of revised Bloom's taxonomy, or whatever may be your like specific objective or general objective. So how you should map this given specific objective with this two-dimensional one. And next is understand. So understand level is student grasps meaning of information by interpreting and translating what has been learned. So it is one level ahead of remembering, right? And next we have apply. So apply, you don't think just because we are going to apply one formula, it becomes an apply question. No, not at all. So we have to, already you would have remembered, understood some concept. Okay, before, because I told you the concept word. What is meant by concept? Yes? Is it just an idea? Application oriented? No? No? I'm just asking you, what is the concept? Or tell me the difference between how concept versus principle. So everywhere we come across concept and also principle, but we are not in a position to differentiate between these two. So how this concept versus principle? You tell me that? The chemistry people can give a very good example you have. So I'll just give you an example. Copper, silver, iron. What are they? Metals. What is the outward appearance of those three? Are they same or are they different? Different. So that is a concept. So the outward appearance will be different, but the common response will be the same thing, that is metal. So that is called as a concept. Yes? And now tell me what's a principle? Principles. It consists of two or more concepts together. Right? So you can just think a chain what we wear. Right? you have a beads. So joining of all those beads will form a principle, right? Each and every bead in that chain will represent a concept. But when you join all those beads together, you will get a principle. So can you mechanical faculty can give me an example of this principle? A very good example you have. In any heat transfer process, what is concept? In any heat transfer process, what is concept?
Energy.
Energy is concept. So how do I say this to be as a principle? So I said that two or more concepts put together will give you a principle. So here in this example, you have heat transfer, right? Process, energy, and conservation. So all these four concepts put together will give you a principle. So that's the difference between a concept and a principle, right? So now apply part. We were into that. So already we would have learned something else. We have a better thorough knowledge of that. Now we have to apply that into some other thing which is relevant to that. So in that way, if you're going to do work, then it becomes in the category of apply. So just because you're going to apply something as a formula, it is not an applied part. So you will have to understand the concept, and after understanding the concept, you will have to implement that into the other term. So that is called as an applied part. And next, you have analyze. So analyze is beyond apply. So you will have to take any two, for example, right? Any two products or any two items. You will have to make a comparison, right? And you will have to analyze the various features or characteristics of that. So if you're going to do that way, only in that case, you will have to fix into a category called as analyze. Yes? And next, evaluate. So evaluate is student makes decision based on in-depth reflection, criticism, and assessment. So it is one step ahead of analyze. So after analyzing it, we have to evaluate, right? How far it is good or how far it is trustworthy. So like that. So whenever we go on to that, only in that case, we have to write it as an evaluate. And next is create. Apart from this, if one have one's own imagination or one's own creation, self-creation or self-imagination is there, you can just create whatever you want. You can design. So a student creates new ideas and information using what previously has been learned. So these 6 categories comes under the cognitive process dimension. So whenever we are going to map, when setting a question paper, you be very careful. You should remember all these 6 categories, and before you map it, you should think twice or thrice, can I put this into remember category? Can I put this into understand or apply or analyze or evaluate and create? So after having a clear-cut idea, today in a nutshell, I'm just telling you everything. So if you want, you have books for that. You can just read it, elaborate, and have a fine-tuned knowledge of that. Knowledge dimension. So in knowledge dimension, we have 4 categories. One is factual, right? That is facts. And the second one is conceptual knowledge. Third one, we have procedural knowledge. And fourth one is metacognitive knowledge. So how this fact? So fact is like basic elements students must know to be acquainted with a discipline or solve problems in it. So if it is a fact, it comes, but you will have to map that against the cognitive process dimension. So remember with fact. So remember with fact, it will be exact. But remember with understand or remember with concept or understand with fact will be under the don'ts, right? I'll tell you that later on. And next, conceptual knowledge is interrelationships among the basic elements within a larger structure that enable them to function together. So now you would have had a clear-cut idea of a concept. And next is, you have procedural knowledge. So whenever we have algorithms to do and whenever we have to do any techniques or any methods we're going to apply, we'll have to adopt certain kind of a procedure. So whenever we are adopting that kind of a procedure, we'll have to map under the category as procedure, right? And next we have metacognitive, and most of the times we struggle in framing a question under this category. So only if you are used to this kind of a methodology, we'll be able to come to this level. So as of now, if we are under till this procedural knowledge, that is well and good. So after doing all these exercises, we can enhance ourselves and move on to the metacognitive. Metacognitive is again, that is one's own imagination or creation. You should have your own idea and you should defend that idea and get the correct output. So that will come under the metacognitive knowledge. It is a knowledge of cognition in general as well as the awareness and knowledge of one's own cognition. That is strategic knowledge and self-knowledge. So as of now, at least if you could map in the question paper till procedural knowledge, that is fine. So if anybody is having beyond that, we can go for metacognitive. So this table is very, very important, and it is just like a formula, you have to take it. So this is list of associated action verbs for cognitive process domain in revised Bloom's taxonomy. So here 6 categories we have under cognitive process dimension. All those are listed there. And what were these main verbs and auxiliary verbs? So these two will have from a different a difference between these two. We'll just see. So main words is whenever we have a remember type of question. So what you will have to do is that whether you are going to recall something else or whether you are going to recognize something else, in that case you will have to make use of this main verb as recognize or recall. Suppose in case if you find it little bit difficult to put these two words, you can go in for the auxiliary verbs as define, state. This normally we do it, right? Define, state, list, label, reproduce, retrieve. Normally we do this, but when we go on to the next level as main verbs, we have to use it as recognize and recall. So whenever we set a question paper, we have this, everyone will try to have this sheet with us and we try to exactly map which question comes under which category of revised Bloom's taxonomy. So that we'll be setting a standard question paper. And the next, in the understand category of cognitive process dimension, we have the main verbs as interpret. So whenever you are going to interpret something else, it comes under the category of understand, exemplify, classify, summarize, infer, compare, and explain to certain extent. Right? So all these will come under the category of understand. Again, in case if we are not able to directly make use of these words, you can go into the auxiliary words. So you have certain kind of verbs as identify, indicate, illustrate, and everything is there. Right? You can just have a look at it. Likewise for apply category. So apply category, you have 2 main verbs, that is execute and implement. So these 2 words itself mean that we have understood something else and we are going to apply it in the another thing. So the understood concept has been implemented here. So that is why we have the 2 words as execute and implement. Yes? And straight away again, if you are not able to make use of those 2 verbs, we can go in for the auxiliary words. To begin with this revised Bloom's taxonomy, let us not go just with the main words. We can also take the help of the auxiliary words and make use of that. And later on, we can just switch on to this main words. And next is analyze. See here, the main word itself will give us a meaning as differentiate, organize, attribute. So you are, I said previously, you have to compare any 2. You will have to find out what are the characteristics of those 2 or behavior thing for those 2. And that is where you get differentiate, organize, attribute. These are the main words we will be making use. If we could not make use of those main words, we can go for the auxiliary. And again, next is evaluate, create. So create part, none of us are able to do it. So we'll have to think over it in future days and we'll have to implement this here at KTR IET. That's a real big challenge for us to do it. So here we have a 2D mapping. This is revised Bloom's taxonomy. You have cognitive process dimension versus the knowledge dimension. So under the cognitive process dimension, we have 6 categories, and under the knowledge dimension, we have 4 categories. And this is how we'll be mapping it. So I'll be giving you an example how to map also. See here, we have the student will learn to apply the reduce, reuse, recycle approach to conservation, knowledge dimension, and the cognitive process dimension like this way. See, suppose in case if I have a part as apply with the procedure. So if I'm applying some concept by making use of the algorithm or by making use of any techniques or by making use of any methodology, so how do I map is that? So apply procedure. So here I will have to map that particular point. So this is how the mapping goes. This is how the mapping goes. Here we have. So STEM education is also very important in revised Bloom's taxonomy. That is, whatever lesson we do it in the class, compulsorily we should have 20% of science into it. So that is very important here. STEM is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Since because we are all into the engineering domain, definitely we'll have to undergo this also whenever we deliver the lecture class. And what are all the various stages of RDT? So first stage is evocation. Suppose in case, if you're going to deliver a topic, right? So as we had an activity before we started with this revised Bloom's taxonomy, you could just give them an activity, your own thing. That is self-imagination. You can explore. And from the activity, the students must come out on what topic we are going to deliver today's lecture. So if they could capture that kind of a thing, then we have achieved something in that particular class, right? So that way, we should be able to give an evocation even before we start up the class. In the evocation, we should not straight away give what topic we are going to deal. We have to get the information from the student through the activity. So it can be not only an activity, it can be any animations or videos, anything else we can do. And the second stage is subject introduction through general and specific objectives with STEM mapping. STEM is again science, technology, engineering and mathematics mapping only. So here general and specific objectives, since because we are running short of a time, I'm just giving you in a nutshell what is all about general objective and specific objective. So general objective is for 1 hour of class or 15 minutes of class. Whatever thing we are going to deliver in that, we'll be having a title for that, right? Like Laplace transform. And what are all the subdivisions we are going to cover under that, right? So those will be called as the specific objectives. Again, for the specific objectives, you can just refer the verb list table, right? Previously I've shown it. So with that, we can just form the general objective and the specific objective. So the third stage is formative assessment. So in a class of about 45 minutes or 50 minutes, we can have at least 4 subtopics which can be called as a specific objective. So continuously, if you are going with 4 subtopics, definitely students will get bored at one point of time. So what we can do is that we can just break that into 2. So first 2 specific objectives we can take at a time, and we can just give them the formative assessment. So that formative assessment, it may be a quiz or it may be a group activity or anything else. Whatever thing you get into your mind, you can do it. And next is, after going through the formative assessment, then discussion by the students. So we should allow the students to discuss among themselves. And still, if they are not able to get a clear-cut idea, we can supplement them. And that, how we can supplement is that by stimulating questions. So we can ask them a stimulating kind of question so that it will kindle their knowledge. they'll be having a better understanding. Page 5, that is drawing mind map involving a concept. So now you know what is a concept, right? So mind map for theory subjects you can have. So if not for each and every lesson or each and every class, at least towards the end of each and every unit for particular course, we can have a mind map, so that if the student sees that mind map at the end, he could be able to explore what are all the contents he or she has studied throughout that unit. So that way this mind map will help the students as well the teacher also. And for the analytical subjects, we can have, instead of having the mind map, we can have it as a flow chart. For the analytical subjects, we can have flow chart. So that way it will help the students to remember all the fundamentals and the concepts, and then they can apply it. And finally, at the end of the session, we'll ask few of the students to give the summary and make a presentation. Like the presentation need not be on the stage alone. They can form a group among themselves. Each group can summarize what are the things they have learned in that particular class, and the group can give the summary sheet. So that the summary sheet can also be interchanged among the groups, and pure learning takes place there, right? So pure learning also takes place. That is what this revised Bloom's taxonomy. And now, thoughts and lots we have. So we find it a little bit difficult to frame the question as lot or thought. So it is lower order thinking and higher order thinking. When I ask the question as what is electricity, we all will say it as a lower order thinking. Yes, it is a lower order thinking. Now, if the same question is put in the other way, if you charge your phone, put it in your pocket and run, what happens? So now the student has to think in that part. So now the same lower order thinking, it can be converted or transformed to a higher order thinking. So that is how we have to think and frame the question. So question paper setting is not easy kind of a work. We'll have to think over. So for setting one question, minimum of 3 days solid we'll have to take, and we'll have to spend some time for getting a quality question paper. Alright, just like that, one cannot set a question paper within half a day or 1 day. It cannot be done, and definitely it will not be a quality question paper. And in the lower order thinking, I can ask the question as state Ohm's law. So it is just only a stating Ohm's law. So therefore, it is only a lower order thinking. So the same question, if I want to ask it in the higher order thinking, how can I ask it? Is Ohm's law universal? Can I ask that way? So if I ask that way, the students will be thinking over it, and he will be writing whatever thing he gets into mind. Only unless otherwise he understands the subject, he will be able to give a correct thing. If not, he will be not able to give a correct explanation, so that we can just identify his higher order thinking skills. So already I told this stage 1 evocation, like related videos and images we can do for them, and latest advancements, applications related to the topic, case study discussion, showcasing of model, prototype samples, conducting experiments, activity involving students, analogy, and one's own imagination. So all these will help us to give the evaluation before we start the class. And finally, this way we can have the mind map. See, for the mind map, we have a tool called as Mindomo. So that Mindomo tool will help us to draw it in a better way, right? The students can visualize it in a better way. We have a tool called as Mindomo, M-I-N-D-M-O. And next is, a teacher should have a micro level of planning when he goes to the class, right? So what are all the micro planning we have? See here. Evocation, I told you. Then if we are going to cover 4 specific objectives in a class. So first two objectives, let it go together. Then we'll go for a formative assessment. Here we have the formative assessment. Then the third and fourth specific objective will be going on here. After that, again related to this third and fourth specific objective, we'll be having a formative assessment. And then we'll have a discussion, put together group discussion we'll have. And mind map we'll try to draw, or we'll ask the students to give a mind map, finally summary. So this micro level of planning, if we have any time, we can go to the class and we can deliver in the class. So unless otherwise, if we are not having this kind of a plan, definitely we will fail. I'll give you an example how to do 2D mapping here. Illustration of how an objective is classified in an RDT table. In today's class, the student will learn to use internet at the end of the instruction. So for 50 minutes, an example I've taken this, and this is the general objective I'm going to cover for 50 minute duration of a period. And what are all the specific objectives I'm going to cover? So within this 45 or 50 minutes, the students will be able to define intranet, list 5 features of an intranet, distinguish between intranet and internet, list 5 applications of internet, send an email, browse the net for a given topic, and finally explain video conferencing through internet. So in my 1 hour of lecture, the students will be able to do all these specific objectives. So if suppose this has been done, how we could map this into a revised Bloom's taxonomy, let us see that. See here, the first one, it was define internet. So we are just going to define what is it. So it is enough if we remember the fact alone. So that is why it has been mapped here, right? Remember fact, the first one. So this is how we will have to do the 2D mapping for any topic we are going to deliver in the class with respect to the revised Bloom's taxonomy. And the second specific objective is list 5 features of the internet. He is just going to list. See here all the verbs, that is very, very important. I put it in the red color. So all these verbs, you can find it in the verb list I've given as main word and auxiliary word. So there you can get all these things, and depending upon that also you can decide in which category you can map into the 2-dimensional mapping of revised Bloom's taxonomy. And next is distinguish between. So you will have to find where this distinguish word comes in the main word and the auxiliary word. See here, you only if you understand something else, you can do with that. And likewise, fourth one, and sending an email, explain video conferencing, browse internet. So sending an email, you have understood some concepts, you will have to apply it with certain procedure. So which means that I will go into this apply, and then procedure knowledge is here. So this is the position where these 3 has to be mapped. Right? Explain video conferencing. And next, browsing in internet. So everything at its own. We are not going to analyze. Analyze comes beyond this apply part. Right? So if you are just going to compare something else and getting an output of that and then evaluating it, it goes beyond that. So in my today's class, I'm just going to do only with this. In the next class, I may be going ahead with this apply part.
Excuse me.
Just a minute, sir. He's up.
The scheme நம்ம பேக் பண்ணி காட்டுங்க அந்த ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் ஆப்ஜெக்டிவ் ஸ்கீம் கான்செப்ட் எது இருக்குன்னு காட்ட முடியும்.
Next, we have that separately.
Ma'am, third question is difference between the intranet and internet, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, in the level of the Bloom's taxonomy, you explained previous slides, so it comes under the analyze level.
Okay, fine.
But in
Very
the
good, sir. Your observation is very good, but I would like to make a point over here. You are distinguishing between only an internet and an intranet. So it is, how do you distinguish between those two? Only with the understanding capacity, that is much more sufficient. We need not go beyond that. So it is just differentiate between inter and intranet. Thank you. He said, very good question. Distinguish, it comes under the apply part in the auxiliary word and main word. But whereas, even though I have put here a distinguished word, you see to that to what level your answer will be. So you will, as soon as you frame a question, you will also have to see to that to what depth the students will be answering it, and accordingly you try to map it. So since because it is in the analyzed, you need not go. That is what I said. Since because you are going to apply a formula, you don't put it as in the apply category. So you will have to put that only in an understand category. So it all depends upon the solution. Understood, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Got clear? Fine.
The
Fine.
job is having previous itself, ma'am. We didn't clarify that it come under the remembrance or analyze. So
Fine. To what depth you will have to see. So if you are able to get that particular solution from you, then you can just map it. It's for setting quality question paper. So now coming on to the question paper pattern, as of now, we have seen only the knowledge part, and let us see how we can map this revised Bloom's taxonomy for the forthcoming question papers. First point is that table of specification should be prepared for a question paper. So if it is for an end semester, then we have it for 100 marks. First thing is that we will have to keep in our mind what will be the table of specification. If we are very clear about that, then preparing a question paper is very simple. So if we have all these points in our hand, definitely setting a quality question paper will not be a difficult job for us. And second point is that part C questions must be structured and elaborate. So suppose in case if the question is just explains so and so with an example. So to what depth they'll explain. So to what examples they'll quote. It all depends. So it should be a structured one, and also it should be an elaborate one. So part C question, whenever we frame it, we should be very careful. And third one is either or type questions should be of same pattern. So what I mean here is that, so we have either or choice. So if in my first choice of a question, if I have understand the concept, the or part should also be from the understand and concept, and the or part should not be from apply or analyze, so that we are not justifying, right? So we will have to do the justification here. That is what I made a clear point is either or type question should be of same pattern. And we have to avoid words like discuss, demonstrate, various, explain briefly. Explain to a certain extent you can use, but not always. Exemplify with suitable example. All these can be avoided. We have got many more words and we can make use of all those things. And the fifth point is that questions should be very specific. So as soon as the question paper is given to the student after reading that question, he must get a point how to answer that question, and he should not struggle with that. And sixth point is avoid WH type of questions. So it is all conventional method. When we go for revised Bloom's taxonomy, we have to think over it. So like I said, what is electricity? That if I want to make remove that WH, and if I want to convert it to same form of a question, I can say it to be as charge your phone, put it in a pocket and run. What, which, why, WH type. So that type you can avoid. Seventh one is questions given in the question bank should not appear directly in the question paper. So we would have given the question bank to the students, and we should not take the same question. So slightly you will have to twist the question, and then we will have to ask so that we can test the knowledge of the understanding level of the student. And 8th point is that avoid options like none of the above, all the above, A and B, or A and B in case of a multiple choice. So MCQ type, you should avoid all these things. And all the options given under the MCQ should be equally distributed, and also the distractors should be proper in the multiple choice questions. Again, this table will help us to frame a quality question paper for revised Bloom's taxonomy. So these are the tips. Suppose in case we prepare a sample and question paper for 100 marks. There should be at least one application based question paper in the sample question paper. This point we have to keep in mind. At least one question should be of an application type, and there must be at least one stimulating or challenging question in the question paper, so that the brilliant students of that class, definitely 5% of the students in every class will be brilliant. We'll give them a chance and we'll get a solution from them. And for those people alone, this point, third point. And the fourth point says that 40-40-20 pattern, which means that 40% of easy question, 40% of mediocre students, and for 20% for challenging and stimulating. Usage of only approved terms of 19 verbs and auxiliary category under RBT for framing the question. To begin, we find it little difficult. So in the forthcoming days, if you are used to it, definitely we'll be able to do it in a better way. And in mathematics subject also, definitely the question should not be an abstract one. It should be an application. We'll have to think before we set the question paper. That is very, very important. Not only for mathematics, for all analytical subjects. And this essay questions should be structured wherever needed, and that should be reflected in the answer key also. That is very, very important. So question paper might be set by one person and evaluator will be some other person. So therefore, in order to avoid all those things, that the same thing should be reflected in the answer key also, so that the evaluator can do the justification. How do we use this? Like Tangat sir has asked that. Use F for basic elements, terminology, definition, statement and law. So for all those things, we can make use of F. And use C, that is concept, for principles, theories of concept, models and structures. And use P for procedures, algorithms, flowcharts, techniques and methods. So whenever we come across all these kinds, we can make use of F or C or P. So if we are aware of all these, then we have no doubt in usage of F or C or P. And examples of do's and don'ts when using RBT mapping. So we have a confusion among ourselves. So let us clear that also. So what are all the do's and what are all the don'ts? So CD stands for cognitive process dimension and KD stands for knowledge dimension. So here we have remember fact. That is where we can map it. So but remember concept is not permitted here. So we are not remembering a concept, we are understanding a concept. So therefore you can do only RF and not RC or RP. That is not allowed here. And UC, we can do UC, that is understanding the concept can be done or mapped, but understanding fact is not allowed here. That is not, it is meaningless. And next is apply procedure, apply concept. It depends upon the topic, that is the specific objective you are dealing in the class. And analyze the concept, analyze the procedure. So all these are the do's of CD with KD. And next is don'ts. So don'ts is we cannot map remember with a concept. That is meaningless. And understand with a fact. Apply with a fact. Analyze with a fact. So these are the things we'll have to avoid while we set a question paper. And what about the learning levels? We have got 3 levels here: low, medium and high difficulty. See here, I have taken a sample question. This is not a structured question. So the question is given and the function, everything is given here, and the question here is just find the displacement alone. So this is not a structured question. So if we want to have a structured question, we will have to explain what is what in the question. We will have to clearly give what is all in the question, or for more clarification, if you have images, you can make use of the images. You can describe this. See here, the above picture describes that if the customer enters the right ATM pin, then he can withdraw the amount. Now he cannot withdraw the amount from ATM, therefore the entered ATM pin is wrong. So if you could give, so if you have any question like this, think over, this is all your own innovation and creation. You can just create and put the images so that the students will have a better understanding if he could not understand the statement given by us. So here, this is see here we have the questions, and all the questions are structured here. Interpret the symbolic form of the above statement. Symbolic form of the above statement. So what should be my 2D mapping? That also I'll have to think. And this is what level? Is it low level, medium level or high level? So this is only a medium level. The students are asked to just interpret the symbolic form of the above statement. So it is only an understanding the concept. If he could understand the concept, then he could be able to interpret the symbolic form of the above given statement, and the level of difficulty here is medium. And state whether the above statement is valid or not. Again, in order to find out any statement is valid or not, we'll have to understand the concept. Unless otherwise we are thorough with the concept, we cannot say. So therefore it is understand concept. Again here the medium of learning is 2. And now I can claim my result, right? Why why the customer is not able to get the amount? Since because the entered ATM pin is wrong, he is not able to get it. So I can claim my result. So why I have written here is apply is that after understanding why he is not able to withdraw the amount, I am just applying it and claiming my result. So that is why I have given it to be as applied and the concept. So next is here the level of difficulty. Here it is for medium. Mediocre students can answer this question. So this way we can structure the question. And likewise, I have a few questions also we can do. Like checklist format for the question paper. Here we have question numbers, learning level, average. Still I can differentiate between high and the challenging, RBT mapping, weightage. So weightage for 100 marks, a percentage, whatever it may be, we can do it. So next, as a sample, I've given it. See, question numbers we can have it like this way. And learning level, there I have marked it as 2, 3 and 1. So depending upon that level, I can just go for average, medium, high, challenging. And however, I have mapped it for the, these are all the question numbers. And weightage is total marks in this category is 38, 42, 15, 5. And see to that, the challenging, it is just below 10 only. So that majority of the students will not be losing the marks. Right? So this average and medium here, you see to that 60% cover, so that we give chances for all the students to clear. Right? Weightage for the various abilities, like we have category of the ability. Remember fact as weightage is 20% and average above average. Understand under the concept and the procedural part is 45%, average above average and high. Applying this as 35% into these categories and put together 20%, 45%, 35% makes up 100% here. And here we have 35, in this category we should have 45, this category we should have 15 and this is 5. So again when you add you get it to be as 100. So this is the weightage for various abilities to be tested in a question paper. So next is course outcomes. Now we find it difficult in writing the course outcome for a syllabi. So what, again I am repeatedly saying that we have to have that table with us. That is main word and the auxiliary word. Definitely it will fetch a good outcome of using those verbs. So now course outcomes are explicit statements of what we want the students to know, understand or to be able to do after successfully completing the course. So course outcome is after the successful completion of the course, what the student will be able to do. That way, if we think it, definitely we will be able to get the outcome for each and every unit. Like when we frame the course outcomes, it should be very smart. We should be very specific and it should be measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound. So if you could have these parameters in mind and then if you read each and every unit, we'll be coming out with a beautiful course outcome for each and every unit. And again, those action verbs for framing COs based on RPT is again in this order. From lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills we'll have. And verbs to avoid when we frame the course outcome as appreciate, know about, become familiar with, learn about, and become aware of. We should avoid all these verbs. So try to make use of that table. That will definitely fetch you a good course outcome. And general guidelines for framing again COs, it need to reflect the objectives, outcomes and mission of the academic program. That is how we have to write the course outcome. And next is begin with action verbs. Action verbs are the main words that are given in the table. Make use of those verbs and get it. And next focus on the technology of the course. See to the course, however the course has been designed, accordingly we have to frame the course outcome using the verbs which has been listed in the table. And next is avoid vague verbs such as know and understand while framing the course outcome. And now we are at this point in juncture, I would like to ask you a question as, after undergoing this, what is your teaching style? I'll give you a hint here also. Are you a front teacher or a behind teacher? Got my point here? Behind teacher. Why do you prefer a behind teacher?
Because it will give opportunity for students to learn more when you are behind. You facilitate the students rather than you come and do the talking.
Okay. What about the features you have under a behind teacher?
Students will be more active than the teacher. They will be doing a lot of activity.
Okay.
And the faculty can monitor and they can facilitate.
Okay, fine. See here, leading from front and behind teacher, the front teacher will always stay, right? Being the expert, knowing, fixing, solving the problems, hierarchical, perspective. So these are all the front teacher does. And the behind teacher is asking students a stimulating kind of questions, being curious what he will give the answer or whether he will question us and put us into trouble. This way also he can do us wondering, exploring opportunities, participatory inquiry. So now what kind of a teaching style you will follow hereafter, think over. This is left up to you and you will have to do it. So general guidelines for CO-PO mapping. So why I have taken from PO6 is that till PO5 we will not find it difficult. So where we will find it difficult is after PO5 only we will find it difficult. So how should we map? Only if we are at least see to that, we try to map till PO12. Only then the CO-PO attainment will be pakka. So now here PO6, how we can map? It may be mapped only if the course or the contents will have impact on the society, right? So whenever we frame a syllabus, keep everything this in mind and then put these points into our syllabus, then easily we can be able to map it. So whenever we frame a syllabus, keep everything into our mind, all the POs right from 1 to 12, so that we be able to map the course outcome with POs very easily. And next is major design courses may be considered to be mapped with PO7 when the design is required to be made sustainable. So if that is the way, we can go for mapping with PO7, 7th one. And PO8 is all practical courses may be considered to be mapped with PO8 where the indicators specify the code of ethics for a discipline. And PO9, it is a teamwork or an individual effort need to be taken. In that case, we can if any assessment has been dealt in the class or for a particular course, we can map it with PO9. And PO10 is maybe mapped to the courses where a written report or a document is collected as an evidence from the students. Like it may be a presentation also in the classroom students. So that way, if we are going to do it in the class, then we can map it to PO10. And PO11 deals with only with project management. It may be mapped to the courses if and only if the decision related to project plan, cost, time, estimation are made. Right? So here I made use of the word as if and only, both the ways. And next is PO12, lifelong learning. So if there is any lifelong learning, you can map that to PO12. So before framing a syllabus, we'll have to keep all these points in our mind and then see to that the syllabus, whatever we are going to frame, the contents map these or covers these points. And the PSO should also possess, here we have this I'm not touching upon, competencies and indicators, it will take much more time also. So I'll just leave it as of now. Thank you for your patience listening. The forum is open for the discussion and any queries if you have with my little understanding of this RBT, I'll just clear that.
Page number 44.
Yes.
We have got this much of answer
Okay.
for a WH question.
Which much of answer, sir? In which category, sir?
We asked one question, somebody answered. But the question is in WH.
What question did I ask, sir?
WH is
No, the question here, what is your teaching style?
Oh,
He says now, WH stands.
I also mentioned a point, like to what depth you are expecting. I expected somewhat in depth into it. So my level, that's what, sir, avoid in the sense, will not avoid all the time. So do the maximum you can avoid it in 2 cases if you want it, you can have just like this.
One answer to that, these are questions when teacher and students are present, they can post and get the answer. When you are questioning, you will have the opportunity to explain to them. So the WH cannot be there.